Happy Saturday. Hello. It is time to read Pride and Prejudice, chapter 29, which is on page 151 of this edition. It is Saturday morning. It feels great outside. I can hear my neighbors around the neighborhood visiting. It's really cute. During Corona, there's a family that has a really cute front porch, and they put all their big Adirondack chairs out in the yard. And, all the elders of the community gather as they walk their dogs or whatever and sit around and visit. So it's been nice to see a lot of positives that have come from these lockdowns where people are creatively finding ways to spend time with other friends. Hello, Kelly Carrillo. I don't know if I said it right. I can't ever do that double L. So what are some things you've benefited from? And you can put that in, hi Ahmed, that you can put that in the comments. Things in Corona that have been a positive for you, although it's been a very difficult and very challenging time. There's a great movie called Collateral Beauty. And the idea is that beautiful things come out of, in an unexpected way, like collateral damage that you didn't expect. It wasn't the direct hit of the damage. Well, collateral beauty is the opposite. So what are some beautiful things? You're so welcome, Ahmed. What are some things? I've gotten closer to my family because of this. I've worked on my home, improved my home because of this. I've had time to be more insightful and introspective in reading. I've had more time to do YouTube. So, Kiki. Well, I'm sure you're so cute too. That's nice to hear at 60. We want to be cute. Tell me about the books that you read. Hey, Haley. I know I haven't seen you I don't see you, but we chat on Discord. There's the plug, Siddharth, for you to put Discord link in. But we talk regularly there, but I like when you join me here. All right, so we've got a lot of people online, and I am going to read. Let's see. It's kind of gotten interesting. We've got a lot of new twists and turns that have happened. Mr. Collins' triumph in consequence of his invitation was complete. The power of displaying the grandeur of his patroness to his wondering visitors. Remember, patron and patroness, those are the people that have the money and they support arts, or in this case, he's the pastor, so she supports him in his in the community, paying for him. Cubs, Major League Baseball. Oh, my dad was a Cardinal, or is a Cardinal fan. I've become a great chef and also have done community fundraising digitally for it. A great chef. Yeah, I have not cooked very much during this. That's awesome, Cubs. Thank you for that. And see, people are making the world better because of this situation. Thank you so much for doing that. So she's a patroness. She's supporting him financially. That's where the term patronize comes from. If somebody seems superior and they kind of put you down, it's because they've got this position of superiority as a patron does. So to look down on someone and, kind of lord over them, your superiority comes from this term to be a patron. Haley. That's great. Yeah, Haley, we've talked a lot about the movies and TV shows and books. I agree with you on that. Yeah, so when Siddharth comes on, I know he'll put the link for us. And you can go back to some of the other videos that are already posted, and the Discord link will be there. Or you can write and ask for it. Now, remember to put it up too, because we keep growing and we keep chatting. All right, back to reading. Condescension. So that's like patronizing. And of letting them see her civility towards himself and his wife was exactly what he had wished for. He's trying to show off. And that an opportunity of doing it should be given so soon as such an instance of Lady Catherine's condescension, as he knew not how to admire enough. I confess, said he, that I should not have been at all surprised by her ladyship's asking us on Sunday to drink tea and spend the evening at Rosings. I rather expected from my knowledge of her affability that it would happen, but who could have foreseen such an attention as this? Who could have imagined that we should receive an invitation to dine there, an invitation, moreover, including the whole party? So immediately after your arrival, he thinks it's on account of him that they're being invited for dinner, and he's kind of showing off. I'm connected to this important person, and you guys got to be invited to her home, because of me. It's a way he's kind of building himself up. I am the less surprised at what has happened, replied Sir William, from that knowledge of what the manners of the great really are, which my situation in life has allowed me to acquire. About the court, such instances of elegant breeding are not uncommon. Scarcely anything was talked of the whole day or next morning but their visit to Rosings. Mr. Collins was carefully instructing them in what they were to expect. That sight of such rooms, so many servants, and so splendid a dinner might not wholly overpower them. When the ladies were separating for the toilet, not the toilet, but like when they go to another room to, fix themselves up after dinner, maybe to go to the bathroom too, but to do your toilette in French is to, prepare your face and your hair, such. He said to Elizabeth, "Do not make yourself uneasy, my dear cousin, about your apparel. Lady Catherine is far from requiring that elegance of dress in us, which becomes herself and daughter. I would advise you merely to put on whatever of your clothes is superior to the rest. There is no occasion for anything more. Lady Catherine will not think the worse of you for being simply dressed." He's so rude. She likes to have the distinction of rank preserved. He's like, I know you don't really have clothes that are at this lady, Catherine de Bourgh's level. She's not going to judge you. Just put on the best you have and do your best to be attractive, And that's a backhanded compliment. Thanks, Haley. Those of you that don't see it, she said she's been reading Pride and Prejudice on my channel, and a trilogy called His Dark Materials. I love when we exchange books that we're reading so we can kind of all grow and learn together. So Mr. Collins is very condescending in that backhanded compliment. While they were dressing, he came 2 or 3 times to their different doors to recommend their being quick, as Lady Catherine very much objected to being kept waiting for her dinner. Such formidable accounts of her ladyship and her manner of living quite frightened Maria Lucas, who had been little used to company, and she looked forward to her introduction at Rosings with as much apprehension as her father had done to his presentation at St. James. As the weather was fine, they had a pleasant walk of about half a mile across the park. Every park has its beauty and its prospects, and Elizabeth saw much to be pleased with, though she could not be in such raptures as Mr. Collins expected the scene to inspire, and was but slightly affected by his enumeration of the windows in front of the house, and his relation of what the glazing altogether had originally cost Sir Louis de Bourgh. So he's, bragging about how expensive everything is. When they ascended the steps to the hall, Maria's alarm was every moment increasing, and even Sir William did not look perfectly calm. Elizabeth's courage did not fail her. She had heard nothing of Lady Catherine that spoke her awful from any extraordinary talents or miraculous virtue, and the mere stateliness of money and rank, she thought, could witness without trepidation. Fear. Trepidation is fear. From the entrance hall, of which Mr. Collins pointed out, with a rapturous air, the fine proportion and finished ornaments, they followed the servants through an antechamber to the room where Lady Catherine, her daughter, and Mrs. Jenkinson were sitting. Her ladyship, with great condescension, arose to receive them, and as Mrs. Collins had settled it with her husband that the office of introduction should be hers, it was performed in a proper manner, without any of those apologies and thanks which he would have thought necessary. In spite of having been at St. James's, Sir William was so completely awed by the grandeur surrounding him that he had but just courage enough to make a very low bow and take a seat without saying a word, and his daughter, frightened almost out of her senses, sat on the edge of her chair, not knowing which way to look. Elizabeth found herself quite equal to the scene, and could observe the 3 ladies before her composedly. Lady Catherine was a tall, large woman with strongly marked features, which might have once been handsome. Like it's a it's a word for beautiful, for not finely featured women, but strong women. Her air was not conciliating, nor was her manner of receiving them as such as to make her visitors forget their inferior rank. She was not rendered formidable by silence, but whatever she said was spoken in so authoritative a tone as marked her self importance and brought Mr. Wickham immediately to Elizabeth's mind. And from the observation of the day altogether, she believed Lady Catherine to be exactly what he had represented. When, after examining the mother, in whose countenance and deportment she soon found some resemblance of Mr. Darcy, she turned her eyes on the daughter. She could almost have joined in Maria's astonishment at her being so thin and so small. There was neither in figure nor face any likeness between the ladies. Miss de Bourgh was pale and sickly. Her features, though not plain, were insignificant, and she spoke very little except in a low voice to Mrs. Jenkinson, in who was entirely engaged in listening to what she said and placing a screen in the proper direction before her eyes. After sitting a few minutes, they were all sent to one of the windows to admire the view, Mr. Collins attending them to point out its beauties, and Lady Catherine kindly informing them that it was much better worth looking at in the summer. The dinner was exceedingly handsome, and there were all the servants and all the articles of plate which Mr. Collins had promised. And as he had likewise foretold, he took his seat at the bottom of the table by her ladyship's desire, and looked as if he felt that life could furnish nothing greater. He carved and ate and praised with delighted alacrity, and every dish was commended first by him and then by Sir William, who was now enough recovered to echo whatever his son-in-law said, in a manner which Elizabeth wondered Lady Catherine could bear. Like, she says, how does Lady Catherine put up with this? Like, they're kissing up, and she just thinks it's fake and she doesn't like it. And she's like, how? If Lady Catherine's any decent person, how can she put up with all this? Shelley, you're new to me. Welcome, Shelley. Listening to Thousand Splendid Suns. I have to say, you're doing God's work for me. Oh, well, Shelley, thanks. Are you in high school or college or just somebody who likes to have audiobooks? I appreciate you coming on and letting me know. I don't know what kind of work it is, but it's important work to me, and it's very restorative for me as well. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have read half these books if not in college. Good. So are you, I know those of you that are reading along get mad when I stop and chat, but I don't know how long she'll be here. Shelley, are you online or are you at campus, or what's happened because of COVID with college? You're sweet to be here and to come take the time to let me know. I like to know who's out there reading along with me. It makes me really happy. It's what keeps me motivated to keep doing it. I feel like you guys get to know me if you read with me for very much, because you see different places that I live and different parts of my life and the changes of what's going on in the world. Medical student. So God bless you. You need somebody that just tells you, hey, there's humanity out there. I have a nephew-in-law who just he's in ER medicine, but he just finished his residency and now he's working. I don't know what that's called. A real doctor. Because he's a real doctor after med school. So I know the challenge that you go through. So keep up the good work. We need more good people in the medical field. Yeah. And he went back, he was old when he went back to school. He was late 20s. He's like 36 now, just starting. Hey, Sophia. Thanks, Haley. I appreciate that. But I get comments where like, just shut STF and read, I'm like, geez, a lot of anger that we need to deal with. Sophia says, helped with book project. Which book was it, Sophia? I think book projects are always interesting. I like to hear what other teachers do with literature, although I'm not teaching anymore, so I'm just curious. I'm just kind of nerdy that way. All right, so back to this. I hope we're getting a good picture of why Elizabeth doesn't like Collins and Lady Catherine de Bourgh. She sees him as fake and stuffy and, hey, we're all just humans. It doesn't matter our class. So she is the voice of Austen rebelling against the societal constructs. Thanks, Shelley. I appreciate that. Of course I get those comments, Haley. It's the internet. People feel comfortable to say anything they want on the internet. And the STF is like, people, if they say rude things to me, they typically get removed because I don't want to put that energy out there. I don't respond to them. Now if there's a legitimate complaint, like I'll explain my methodology or why I'm doing what I'm doing. But what I don't understand is, if you don't like my channel, don't watch it. It just seems so logical to me. Why would you spend your energy watching something that's not helpful to you, that you don't like, and then feel the need to aggressively say something rude and put that ugliness out into the universe? I don't get that mentality. That's something about the internet. Twitter is, gosh, the worst. If you've got so much rage and anger, is there not a healthier way to work it through? Haley, you can be our new host and encourage them to come to Discord and visit with us there. All right, back to it. Except I have to find my place. The party did not supply much conversation. Elizabeth was ready to speak whenever there was an opening, but she was seated between Charlotte and Miss de Bourgh, the former of whom was engaged in listening to Lady Catherine, and the latter said not a word to her all dinner time. Mrs. Jenkinson was chiefly employed in watching how little Miss de Bourgh ate, pressing her to try some other dish, and fearing she were indisposed. Maria thought speaking out of the question, and the gentlemen did nothing but eat and admire. When the ladies returned to the drawing room, there was little to be done but to hear Lady Catherine talk, which she did without any intermission till coffee came in, delivering her opinion on every subject in so decisive a manner as proved that she was not used to have her judgment controverted. So she's so authoritative, Lady Catherine, that she talks in such a way that no one would dare, question. Like she would say, the weather today is horrible. And even though it's a beautiful day, no one would say, oh, why do you find it horrible? It's really very beautiful. Hi, Nature. I'm just seeing what everybody's saying. I'm so curious. I'm nosy. I don't know why I air quoted nosy. So she's not ever, nobody ever corrects her. She inquired into Charlotte's domestic concerns familiarly, I cannot say that word, and minutely, and gave her a great deal of advice as to the management of them all, told her how everything ought to be regulated in so small a family as hers, and instructed her as to the care of her cows and her poultry. Elizabeth found that nothing was beneath this great lady's attention which could furnish her with an occasion of dictating to others. In the intervals of her discourse with Mrs. Collins, she addressed a variety of questions to Maria and Elizabeth, but especially to the latter, of whose connection she knew the least, and who she observed to Mrs. Collins was a very genteel, pretty kind of gal. She asked her at different times how many sisters she had, whether they were older or younger than herself, whether any of them were likely to be married, whether they were handsome, where they had been educated, what carriage her father kept, and what had been her mother's maiden name. Elizabeth felt all the impertinence of her questions, but answered them very composedly. Lady Catherine then observed, your father's estate is entailed on Mr. Collins, I think. For your sake, turning to Charlotte, I am glad of it. But otherwise I see no occasion for entailing estates from the female line. It is not thought necessary in Sir Louis de Bourgh's family. Do you play and sing, Miss Bennet? A little. Oh, then, some time or other we shall be happy to hear you. Our instrument is a capital one, probably superior to... You shall try it someday. What was she going to say? Probably superior to what you're used to, right? And then she realized, oh, that could be rude. I'm glad you're doing great too, Nature's Beauty. I'm glad you're here. Tell me what brings you here. Have you guys ever been around people like this that they just think they're so much better than everybody else that they make these kind of rude comments and um, but they think nobody notices. They think nobody realizes they're being rude. But those of us that are on the receiving end of it, we know you slammed us, and we can either say something back and look as rude as you, or we can ignore it and let you get away with it, and it sucks, right? Sophia, yeah, you get it, right? And women are the worst about it. I don't find that men do it as much. Maybe because I'm not a man. I'd have to see. Maybe men insult each other in different ways. I find it tends to be more directly. It's just to get your attention, honestly. Just cut the clutter and focus on those who love your work. Oh, Shelley, you're probably right. And that's what I do. If it's a really rude comment, I just delete it because I don't, like I say, I don't want the energy out there. Um, but some comments, like I do struggle because early on, some of my books had the N word in them. And I'm 4 or 5 years ago. I originally thought I don't want to censor anything. I want to read what the author had to write. But I've had some really insightful comments that have come from readers that have made me realize I don't want to use that language. I don't want to support that language. So now I just substitute the word with person or man or whatever is the appropriate noun. But so that conversation I'll engage in. But to just come on and to be hateful, I think you're right, Shelley, that it's just an attention getter. Nature's Beauty, I want to hear what books you've read with me or why you're here or more about you, where you're from, what grade you're in. So back to reading. Do your sisters play and sing? And Elizabeth says, one of them does. Why did you not all learn? You ought all to have learned. The Miss Webbs all play, and their father is not so good an income as yours. Do you draw? No, not at all. What, none of you? Not one. That is very strange. But I suppose you had no opportunity. Your mother should have taken you to town every spring for the benefit of masters. My mother would have had no objection, but my father hates London. Has your governess left you? We never had any governess. No governess? How was that possible? 5 daughters brought up at home without a governess? I never heard of such a thing. Your mother must have been quite a slave to your education. Elizabeth could hardly help smiling as she assured her that had not been the case. Then who taught you? Who attended to you? Without a governess, you must have been neglected. Compared with some families, I believe we were, but such of us as wished to learn never wanted the means. We were always encouraged to read and had all the masters that were necessary. Those who chose to be idle certainly might. Aye, no doubt, but that is what a governess will prevent. And if I had known your mother, I should have advised her most strenuously to engage one. I always say that nothing is to be done in education without steady and regular instruction, and nobody but a governess can give it. It is wonderful how many families I've been the means of supplying in that way. I'm always glad to get a young person well placed out. 4 nieces of Mrs. Jenkinson are most delightfully situated through my means, and it is but the other day that I recommended another young person who was merely accidentally mentioned to me, and the family are quite delighted with her. Mrs. Collins, did I tell you of Lady Metcalfe's calling yesterday to thank me? She finds Miss Pope a treasure. Lady Catherine, she said, you have given me a treasure. Are any of your younger sisters out, Miss Bennet? Yes, ma'am, all. All? What, all 5 out? Like, remember I told you they presented at court to say that they are eligible for marriage at this point. Hey, Farid. Yeah, it sounds like it was, Haley, that people of a certain level, a certain station would have a governess because remember, they didn't go to school. So the way they got their education was to have the private tutors. Um, so I think Kelly mentioned this to us before, that if you were of a certain station, but not high enough in the financial aspect of it, that you as a young educated female would go and be a governess to other more wealthy families. Um, Very odd. And you only the second. The younger ones out before the elder are married. Your younger sisters must be very young. Yes, my youngest is not 16, so she's 15. Perhaps she is full young to be in much company. But really, ma'am, I think it would be very hard upon younger sisters that they should not have their share of society and amusement because the elder may not have the means or inclination to marry early. The last born has a good right to the pleasures of youth as the first, and to be kept back on such a motive, I think it would not be very likely to promote sisterly affection or delicacy of mind. So she argues back with Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Upon my word, said her ladyship, you give your opinion very decidedly for so young a person. Pray, what is your age? With 3 younger sisters grown up, replied Elizabeth, smiling. Your ladyship can hardly expect me to own it. Lady Catherine seemed to say my age, like it would be indelicate of me to tell you my age. Lady Catherine seemed quite astonished at not receiving a direct answer, and Elizabeth suspected herself to be the first creature who had ever dared to trifle with so much dignified impertinence. You cannot be more than 20, I'm sure. Therefore, you need not conceal your age. I am not 1 and 20. When the gentlemen had joined them and tea was over, the card tables were placed. Lady Catherine, Sir William, and Mr. and Mrs. Collins sat down to quadrille, and as did Miss de Bourgh choose to play at casino. The 2 girls had the honor of assisting Mrs. Jenkinson to make up her party. Their table was superlatively splendid. Scarcely a syllable was uttered that did not relate to the game, except when Mrs. Jenkinson expressed her fears of Miss de Bourgh's being too hot or too cold, or having too much or too little light. Like they worry over the young girl. A great deal more passed at the other table. Lady Catherine was, generally speaking, stating her mistakes of the 3 others, like correcting their play, or relating some anecdote of herself. Mr. Collins was employed in agreeing to everything her ladyship said, thanking her for every fish he won, and apologizing if he thought he won too many. Sir William did not say much. He was storing his memory with anecdotes and noble names. He wanted to listen and get all the scoop. When Lady Catherine and her daughter had played as long as they chose, the tables were broke up. The carriage was offered to Mr. Collins, gratefully accepted, and immediately ordered. The party then gathered around the fire to hear Lady Catherine determine what weather they were to have on the morrow. From these instructions they were summoned by the arrival of the coach, and with many speeches of thankfulness on Mr. Collins' side, and as many bows on Sir William's, they departed. As soon as they had driven from the door, Elizabeth was called on by her cousin to give her opinion of all that she had seen in Rosings, which, for Charlotte's sake, she made more favorable than it really was. But her commendation, though costing her some trouble, could by no means satisfy Mr. Collins, and he was very soon obliged to take her ladyship's praise into his own hands. So there we go. Fareed, let's see what everybody said. Very different now because about 200 years or so have passed now. Yeah, Sophia, it was pretty much only the wealthy families that got education. I'm reading back. I'm doing well, tired, stayed up late last night. Fareed, why are you staying up so late? Anybody got the new PlayStation PS5 or the new, whatever the new Xbox is, playing those games all night? It could be that, could it? Hey, Caper. Hey, Kelly. I wondered if you were there. I slept like a log last night. So everybody joined in. Thanks for the chat. I appreciate it. We're at 28 minutes in. This one only got 1 chapter read. So what do you think of the characters and what do you think of the times? Is the society totally different? If you had to write a thesis statement on the impact of no, it's not me. What's not you? It's Haley. I lost track of there. So if you had to write a thesis statement about the impact of society on the story, does it make it hard to understand, or can you find similarities between our society and the society of the time? So I'm just curious to see what you guys think as young people. Can you relate to this, or is it completely just a different world for you? You don't play video games, nor do I, but I think we're the only 2 in the world. Haley, I don't know why I stayed up so late. Oh, I see. I get it. I thought Haley was the one. I mean, I thought Fareed was the one that stayed up. I slept great. I'll say again. And I've been a little under the weather, a little sick. So today will just be a lazy day. I've been going nonstop all week, something every night. So today is beautiful. I'll probably enjoy sitting on the porch, chat a bit on Discord, and read some to myself. Um, I appreciate you guys joining in. Does anybody have anything else interesting to say? We had a lot of new visitors today, and that's fun to me. My voice sounds really raspy. I have a sore throat. My ear hurts. I don't want to get sick. So subscribe if you haven't. We are on 159, which is still not halfway, but we're getting close. Get your books, annotate, let me know how you're doing in school. Come over and visit on Discord. Oh, I got the audio. I found out the hard way that I have subscribed to Audible and it's automatic renewal. And I have like 8 credits. So Kelly, I've been doing things I carried. I'll probably listen to that today if it doesn't make me fall asleep sitting comfortably in the sun. I'm enjoying it. I'm glad I didn't realize you were reading it too, but I am enjoying it. Nature's Beauty, I thought it was, you're Kurdish. Oh, assalamu alaikum. In addition, I love listening to you when you read books. Well, I'm so glad to have you here. I have some Iraqi friends. I've been not to Iraq, but on the river between Iran and Iraq. So I could see, I'm trying to think what city that was on the other side. It was down by, shoot, it's been too long. I'm trying to think in Iran what city I was in, but I can't think of it right now. I'm embarrassed. And I'm embarrassed that I've forgotten. It wasn't Karachi because that's Pakistan, but it's similar to that. And it sits right, literally, there's a river that divides Iran and Iraq in the south. And we took a boat out and so I could see into Iraq. That was in 2001, I think. I had my kids with me. Fareed, oh, you're asking if Nature's Beauty speaks Arabic or Kurdish. And I've had Kurd friends when I lived in Sweden, and they spoke Kurdish, but they also spoke Farsi. So, and I don't think I know any Kurdish. And my Arabic is terrible. My Farsi is terrible. My French is terrible. My Swedish is worse. I'd like to be fluent. I so admire you people that come on and your writing is so good when you come here and you speak good English and you're reading along. So I appreciate you being here. Nature's Beauty, if you can get to Discord, come. I have a channel there that is for English conversation where we can chat back and forth. I'd love for you to join us. So, yeah, I'm just rereading more about you. Kurdish music. I love Kurdish music. Yeah, it is great. All right, guys, that's why I love this channel. It brings people from all around the world and we learn things about each other. We build, we see things that we like and things that are different and have a better understanding of each other. Diwali is happening now for my Indian friends, and that is a beautiful holiday. So I've learned more about it. The feeling of it is very happy, isn't it, Fareed? And my children's grandmother was Kurdish. Well, she was nomadic. She was called Gashgai. It's a people that are from Kurdish lineage, but she was Iranian, cutest little lady, and could dance so beautifully. And her name was Shamsi, and I named one of my daughters after her, Shamsi. So if you're Arabic, you know Shams for a man's name, but her grandmother's name was Shamsi, Little Sunshine, and we named her. Paper chaser. What's good? Life is good. Beautiful day. We've got people that like to read. we're out learning together. We're learning about other countries and similarities and languages. So my readings go crazy. How do they go crazy? Does it mean Paper Chaser? How do my readings go crazy? Kurdish people went through a lot. That is so true, Fareed. All right, I don't want to cut off the conversation, but I feel awkward sometimes just sitting here staring at the screen waiting for y'all to type. So I never know when to say goodbye and when to sit here and stare at you. So I'll sit and stare a few more minutes in case there's any more conversation from Nature's Beauty or from Paper Chaser. And again, come over to Discord. You can find the link in a lot of the previous videos, and I'll try and put it when I'm done. How's my sense of smell? Oh, Kelly, you're worried that I have. No, I don't have a good sense of smell. I won't know that one because I don't have a good sense of smell in general. But one of my colleagues had a cold this week, and I'm thinking I just picked it up, or it's allergy. I get this. I have, bye, Fareed. Kelly, you know I have fibromyalgia, and I really have pushed too much this week, and I think I'm just in a flare-up is all. But thank you for worrying about me. Yeah. Okay, Fareed, good. I look forward to hearing from you. Kelly, how are you? I really, really, really want to come visit you. Like, that's just pulsing in my brain. A friend of mine wants me to go to East Asia, like to Vietnam and Cambodia and some of those places. But I want to go to see you. Paper Chaser, do you mean because there's a lot of conversation in our live streams? I don't think there's probably, like when I watch YouTubers that I really watch, if they have live streams, like you can't keep up with the conversation. So to me, our size is just perfect. It's getting hot here in Louisiana. It was cold earlier, but all right. Kelly, I'm going to be low key today. So if you want to chat, buzz me. I'm happy to get caught up. The rest of you, subscribe, ring the bell, check us out on Discord, keep reading, enjoy your time, keep doing those good things you're doing because of COVID, where everybody's finding more time to volunteer and help. And I will read to you next time. Haley, you gotta do it. Traveling around the world has changed my life. So I think made me a better person. So I encourage it to everybody. I can't wait to get traveling again. So love you guys. See ya.